as you talked about your training and developing, you've had a lot of different interactions with people over the years. Do you want to share some of those stories about interacting with other people and thoughts that you have about those interactions?
That is one thing that the Guild did teach and did warn. People were going to treat me differently when I got out into the real world. And I got to do a speech fairly early when I got out of the Guild for the Sight Loss Support Group on blindness. All morning I had been with sighted adults, and nobody really said anything to me about, well, they didn't say anything to me about anything, really. And I went in the afternoon and did this talk with these first and second graders, 6 and 7-year-olds. And when I was done with my little speech, I said, are there any questions? And the little girl in the front, or in the middle, jumped up and said, well, how do you get your clothes on? And I said, well, I do it just like you do. I pull my pants on one leg at a time. And I put my shirt on, button it up just like you do. And the little fella right in the big front said, well, you didn't do a very good job today, mister. Your buttons are all screwed up. And I reached up and felt, and sure enough, I had misbuttoned my buttons, 2 buttons up and down. Did the adults not see it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything. Mothers are another group of people that I'm walking down the street in State College, and this little boy goes, Mommy, why does that man have that stick? And I had my cane and was walking up the street. And the next thing I know, I hear this, ow, shut up and get out of his way. And I could just picture this little kid with his arm being jerked out of his system, out of his shoulder. And the mother just lost a moment. Contrast that to a young mother down in Pittsburgh in a restaurant. The little fella goes, Mommy, why does that man have that stick? And she said, well, I don't know. Why don't you ask him? And he did. And I told him. And then for the next half hour, I learned what it was like to be a 4-year-old with a little truck. But that was the difference between the 2 mothers. One ruined a perfect opportunity for an educatable moment. And the other one took the time to let her son know that it was okay to ask the fellow with the stick, the fellow with the glasses, what that stick may be for, or why he was wearing dark glasses at night. That's the mother.
Right.
Students are funny creatures.
Yes, they are.
Oh, that's right. You are one, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
I was a smoker. I was a heavy smoker. And I dated this girl that was a advisor for a sign language organization. And I went to a meeting with her up in Willard Building. And they started matching up in pairs. And I thought, this is going to be a problem for me. So I said, it's about time I have a cigarette. And this is when the university was going out. No more smoking policies all over campus.
Right.
And I started out and was trailing down along the wall. And then I hit something. I felt it. It was my friend the ashtray. It was right there in the building. I didn't have to go out. So I just piped up and lit. Students are walking by me. I don't know, 20, 30, 35. Finally, this one student comes walking in, and she starts cackling. And it was a voice I knew. It was a laughter I knew. Like, hey, face lady, what's up? And she goes, put that out. And I put it out. She goes, give me your hands. And she took my hands and she moved them up to the wall. And she goes, do you see this sign? And it was probably 4 feet by 1 foot. And then there was a big, long piece of paper below it. She goes, do you know what that says? I said, I have no idea. She said, it says no smoking. And there is the university policy. Of course, I just said, was it in Braille?
How about people that, mean well, but sometimes it's important to ask you if you need assistance. Have you had experiences like
Sadly,
that?
yesterday.
We have experiences wherever we go,
Right.
whenever we go. One that I like to tell is waiting for a friend of mine who was also visually impaired. Now, she wasn't totally blind like I was, and so she didn't always use her cane the same as I did. She'd bounce it and twirl it, and she'd do all kinds of things. So I just was waiting for her at the corner of McClanahan's, and she didn't come, and she didn't come, and she didn't come. And I thought, maybe I'm a little early, maybe I don't know what's going on. So I moved up closer to the road and thought, maybe I can just, make sure my time is right. And I said, excuse me. And the next thing I know, somebody grabbed my arm there, somebody grabbed my arm there, and away across the street we went. I got across the street and I said, well, thank you very much, but I didn't want to cross the street. I just wondered what time it was. Back across the street we went. Never did find out the time. I did find my friend. Same friend, another story. I went up and waited for her at the little half wall there at McClanahan's. And I'm waiting, and I know by now, I knew her long enough, she's 20 minutes late all the time. I waited and waited, and finally I heard somebody come walking by. I said, excuse me, do you see a little girl with a cane coming across the other side of the street? They go, well, no, I don't. But there's another little girl sitting down at the end of the wall, just sitting there about 8 feet from you with a cane. My friend. We could have waited forever. Would you like another story? I don't have one right now. Go ahead. Ask me a question.
So, one of the things, maybe you could talk a little bit about your profession and what you were doing before you became blind and then after, and some observations you had about people when you returned as a man who experienced blindness.
Well, I was looking to become a financial planner. That was my end goal. I had started working in a firm here in State College as an insurance agent. And essentially, through my sight loss, I lost 2 years of tax law changes and things like that. So that created a real problem. But for anybody in that field, you need some leisure time. And we always had, I want to call it a picnic, a party, over in Raystown, which is a 7-mile lake here across the mountain from State College. And so we take our swimsuits and go swimming and play in the arcades and things like that. But the one thing that they did the year I went back was they sent a note around to be filled out of who wanted to go water skiing. And that sounded entertaining to me. I hadn't been on skis in 10 years. And I thought, that sounds really great. I'd like to do that. And the note went around and around and around every office. Every office except one. They bypassed me in my office. I thought, well, I guess I can understand that, but it hurt. We went to the picnic and we went, swimming around, and then we went to dinner. And a buddy of mine said, would you like to go for a boat ride? I'm going to take these girls water skiing. And at the time, I was kind of had an interest in the one girl, so I thought, well, yeah, I like to go water skiing and watch her ski and see how she does. So we went. And she took a couple attempts. She couldn't get up. She took a couple more attempts, couldn't get up. She comes into the boat, and I'm smiling at her and kind of wink, and she says, well, if you think it's so easy, then why don't you do it? And she throws me the vest. I said, okay. The skis were off out over the side, and I look at my buddy, and he said, are you serious? You do this? I said, if you're willing, I'm willing. And over the side I went, got the vest on, I got the skis on. It took me a couple of attempts too, but finally I got up. And it was heaven. It was just back and forth across the wakes, and I was just thoroughly enjoying myself. And the one thing that I had forgotten, after 10 years, when you tip a ski, let go of the rope. I didn't. And across the water I went. One ski out, another ski out, way away from the first one. What we didn't know, or if we did know it, we ignored it, was after 8:30, you can't ski. Because people tell me it gets dark. A boat comes out. It's the park rangers. Hey, hey, hey! Get that boy in the boat. Don't you know he won't be able to see out there? My buddy never let on. I never let on. I just crawled in the boat. We went back and got our skis. And the park rangers left us alone. No tickets.
There you